Look around any dense urban block in Lebanon, and the infrastructural strain is obvious. The grid is pushed to its absolute limit, where tangles of exposed wires create a constant daily ignition risk. Because of frequent power outages, massive industrial generators and their fuel reserves sit right next to apartment windows. We are effectively living with heavy industrial electrical hazards in highly populated residential zones. Inside the home, the risks compound. Many households and businesses rely on localized gas cylinders for cooking and heating. Aging materials and poor installation mean a simple leak can rapidly turn into an explosive fire. And then there's the environment itself. Lebanon's intensely hot, dry weather turns the surrounding hillsides into kindling, routinely pushing dense wildfires right up against the edges of urban centers. This chart shows structural damage metrics during a fire incident. Notice the massive drop here. When the correct fire extinguisher is used properly in those first crucial seconds, fire-related damages decrease by up to 70%. Relying on a fire department to navigate traffic and reach you in time isn't a complete strategy. You have to mount a proactive, localized defense to protect your own space. If you walk into any building, you'll likely spot a fire extinguisher. They are painted red across the globe for a highly specific reason: instant visibility and a psychological link to urgency and danger. But that uniform red shell creates a dangerous illusion. Because they all look identical from the outside, buyers naturally assume they are a universal, one-size-fits-all solution for any emergency. People treat them like a one-time purchase. They buy a cylinder, leave it in a hallway, and ignore it for a decade, allowing the pressure to slowly leak and the internal chemicals to settle and degrade. To actually secure your home or business, you need to map exactly which chemical agent belongs in which specific room and understand the rigorous maintenance required to keep it viable. This grid maps out a complex matching problem with zero margin for error. Deploying the wrong chemical agent on a specialized fire in a panic often accelerates the flames, making it far more destructive than if you had no extinguisher at all. This matrix evaluates our options based on 3 factors: best use case, worst use case, and their risk of collateral damage. First is dry powder. Think of this as the versatile option. It physically interrupts the chemical reaction of a fire, making it highly effective across Class A, B, and C fires, meaning it can handle wood, flammable liquids, and gases. The trade-off is severe collateral damage. Firing dry powder in a small enclosed apartment drops visibility to near zero and causes harsh respiratory irritation. It also leaves a destructive chemical residue on everything it touches. Contrast that with carbon dioxide, or CO2. This is your primary defense for electrical fires, heavily utilized in server rooms, heavy generator setups, or spaces with expensive office hardware. CO2 works by smothering the fire and depriving it of oxygen. It leaves zero residue to clean up, saving your electronics. However, it is entirely ineffective on combustible materials like wood or paper, requiring precise aim at the base. Dry powder is your choice for open spaces with highly volatile materials, while CO2 is strictly required for protecting costly indoor tech. You cannot swap one for the other. That brings us to the most dangerous room in almost any building: the kitchen. Cooking oils and animal fats burn at extreme temperatures, creating what is known as a Class K fire. You cannot use standard water or powder here. This diagram illustrates a wet chemical extinguisher in action. It cools the superheated oil and instantly forms a thick, soap-like barrier on the surface to completely cut off oxygen and stop reignition. But this is a highly specific tool. Wet chemicals are practically useless outside of a kitchen and are actively dangerous if sprayed onto live electrical circuits. We also face a rapidly growing modern hazard: lithium-ion batteries. When a lithium battery fails, it enters a state of thermal runaway, generating intense, self-sustaining heat that easily jumps from cell to cell. Standard units won't stop this. You need a specialized Class D lithium extinguisher. They cost more upfront, but their chemistry is specifically formulated to cool the metal and prevent the battery from continuously reigniting hours later. When you are dealing with specialized fuels like cooking grease or lithium battery packs, generalized suppression completely fails. The chemical agent must be precisely matched to the fuel. Buying the correct cylinder is only about 10% of the work. Rigorous maintenance is what actually dictates if the device will function during a crisis. This scorecard outlines a homeowner's monthly checks. You need to verify the cylinder is easily accessible, ensure the safety pin is intact, and confirm the pressure gauge reads squarely in the green, operable range. If you run a business, visual checks aren't enough. You are required to undergo an annual professional audit to maintain legal compliance and ensure facility safety standards. A certified technician performs a detailed forensic evaluation. They submerge the extinguisher in a water tank to spot microscopic pressure leaks, inspect the internal cylinders for corrosion, and physically replace the powder or chemical agents as needed. If you fail to allocate the time and budget for this recurring maintenance loop, that red cylinder degrades into nothing more than useless wall art. If you're outfitting a home, here's how you build your localized defense. For the kitchen, mount a wet chemical extinguisher or a fire blanket to quickly cut off oxygen to stovetop grease fires. For living rooms, place an accessible dry powder unit for overloaded outlets. But remember the ultimate rule for home safety. A residential extinguisher is designed to clear an exit path in the first 10 seconds of an emergency. It is not meant to keep you inside fighting an uncontrollable blaze. Your return on investment comes from extreme accessibility and specialized kitchen protection, creating the lowest possible technical friction when panic sets in. If you manage a commercial facility, the stakes scale up with massive infrastructure and strict liability. You must map CO2 units directly to your server rooms and place specialized lithium extinguishers anywhere you store commercial battery packs or handle EVs. You cannot rely on basic hardware store units. Your facility must comply with the Lebanese Fire Safety Code and NFPA standards, which means sourcing and maintaining your equipment through certified providers like SOD Security. Ignoring these codes or skipping your annual inspections leaves you fully exposed to immense liability and catastrophic structural loss when a fire breaks out. An extinguisher is not a blanket of safety. You must identify your exact hazard, match the precise chemistry, and fiercely maintain the tool. Your preparedness today is what dictates survival tomorrow.